Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. Today we have Josh, and let's just jump right into it. So, Josh, can you tell the audience what you do?
So, well, a little bit of everything, but um, my primary business is transportation logistics. So we haul food and packaging and different materials across the United States and the lower 48. A little bit of Canada and Mexico, but primarily just the lower 48 states. We work with Fortune 500 companies and uh, retain those contracts and service those contracts. So
Yep,
that's
that's
my primary
awesome.
business.
Awesome. And I know a little bit about, what you do because as you know from our last discussion, one of my clients, he has a warehouse facility. So I'm constantly learning more about shipping and everything. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, they employ a lot of people, so there's millions of people out there that have logistics backgrounds, and it's a good field to get into. I didn't know out of college, I really didn't know what I wanted to get into, and my family, most of them been in logistics, so I was like, well, I know a little bit about it, and I got offered a
Yep.
job, and the job market was a little bit different back then, but yeah, I got offered a job and started from there and worked at JB Hunt and then went on to build my own. So,
Yep. Well, let's talk a little bit about your sword. Kind of what happened throughout your life that kind of led you to where you are today.
man, that's a long story. I'm not sure you got the time.
I got a little time.
Yours is you know, yours is just as long, but yeah, I think really mine started whenever I went to school. I had reading disabilities and learning disabilities, and so when I was young, I I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up, and um, they had the no child left behind act back then, and they kind of just pushed us through school, and it was very cookie cutter, right? So um, if you didn't fit that mold and have all of those abilities, they kind of just pushed you along into the next grade. And so I'd say probably in high school I was really really behind, and my counselors, they said, if you continue down this path, you're not going to be able to get a job. You're not going to be able to be a productive citizen, is what they told me. Right. So, and, so you hear that stuff and you go through life and I was lucky enough to make a good enough score on my ACT to get into a college, a community college. And so I went in there and tried my best, but yeah, I mean, my journey really started in that. It wasn't the traditional fashion. It's like when you struggle, when you have those learning disabilities, you just have a different path, you know? It's, and so I think that's what helped me though in the business world, is because you always feel like you're behind, or you always feel like you've got something to prove because
Mhm.
you didn't excel when all the other kids are getting scholarships and they're going to these great schools, and you know that you've got no chance of getting in. So once I figured out entrepreneurship, it was on. I was like, I can do this. I can build a company. I can scale. I can do marketing, sales, accounting, and so it's amazing what you can do once you get outside of that box, once you get outside of that bubble, and it's just you against the world, and doing your thing.
Yep.
So and I that's the great thing too, is like through entrepreneurship, you learn who you are, you learn your principles, what you stand for. It's a whole. It's not just about business. It's like, you know, whenever you build a company, you go to your weakest moments and your best moments, and so you learn so much about yourself that you didn't know about,
Mhm.
and you develop relationships like you and I, Nick. I mean, you become friends with people. You look at you look you try to help each other through whatever the struggles are that's going on, either business or personal. So that's really what impacted my life, was saying, okay, I don't have to be an accountant. I don't have to be a doctor. How am I going to provide for myself, pay my bills, but also give me the ability to build whatever I want and be creative, right? So in school, that wasn't there. I didn't have that option. So it was kind of like, take the test. If you pass the test, you're a winner. If you don't, it's over. You're not going to
Yep.
be productive.
Yep.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's an amazing story, and I like it because I can relate to it a lot. People always telling you what you can and can't do, basically. Saying you're not good enough, and you always gotta prove to someone that you are. I agree with you. Like being an entrepreneur, it allows you the freedom to be who you are and excel at the things that you're good at, not the things that everybody wants you to be good at.
yep, that's so true.
Yeah. So now when it comes to your business, number one, what is the name of it? And number two, what are like some of the things that you help your clients with?
Yeah, so the name of the company is Somerset Logistics. I actually own an agency, kind of like insurance. I own an agency through Somerset Logistics, and really it's uh, understanding the customer's production, understanding their forecast for the next quarter, and kind of work at helping them financially through their logistics budget, figure out where they need to be. So it's a huge cost, and whenever they're calculating marketing and calculating next quarter, next year's projections, logistics, if especially if you're a food manufacturer or packaging manufacturer, it's a huge part. And so we go in and we just help them through that process and say, okay, here's what we think fuel's going to do. Here's what we think driver pay, maintenance. Here's what we project for the next 3 to 6, months, and then they're able to make those projections to figure out, what kind of cash flows they need or what their margins need to be on their
Mhm.
products. And I always tell people, logistics is kind of the starting point. Um, you know, on your within their budgets, because it doesn't make sense if you can't, if you don't have strategic manufacturing warehouses around your distribution centers, then they're at a big disadvantage with their competitors, right? So we do a lot of things. There's a lot of consulting in it, and then at the end of the day, to kind of bring it up full circle and make it simple, is that they provide us a certain amount of volume, freight volume. They say, okay, we've got 5,000 loads that are moving from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and they're moving out to California, right? And then we give them an idea. Hey, here's the best days to move those freight. You'll save a certain amount of money, and then we execute those contracts. So if they give us 5,000 loads, we plan the drivers, plan the delivery, contract everything, and we keep it running smoothly. And the final service, the final part of that, is by them hiring our agency to do that for them, they save in employment cost, right? They save in labor costs. So
Yep.
some of these operations, they don't have the ability to have 20 or 30 people in logistics, right?
Mhm.
They've got the people in the warehouse, they've got accounting, they got operations, and besides a CEO and a CFO, that's all they've got.
Yep.
So they just really don't have the manpower to pull that off. So
Mhm.
we just hold their hand and walk them through that process.
Yep. Yeah, you make it easier for them.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. It's all about
Awesome.
service and customers and um, and taking stuff off their plate. So
Awesome. And for the people listening, when you say logistics, how would you explain what that is to someone?
it's simply moving goods from point A to point B and coming up with a strategic plan based on the state laws and the federal laws. Using various equipment, whether that's dry van or refrigerated trailers, but primarily moved in box trucks, which are kind of like those furniture trucks that you have, or large semis that you see 18 wheelers going down the road. So, and that's just one part. Logistics is a broad spectrum. You got
Yeah.
plane, sea, LTL. Um, you could go into logistics and never touch the side of logistics that I'm on, right? You could stay in LTL for, from start to finish through your whole career. So it's very complex, but it is easy to learn. But it's complex as in there's lots of different components in different areas. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, what you do is needed because, we need freight shipped all the time. So,
that's right. Yeah, I mean, especially during COVID, everything was shut down. We were still hauling freight.
yep.
Our drivers were still moving across the country and working and trying to keep America fed. And those those guys that are in the truck and those guys and gals that are in the warehouse making food and packaging it, they are heroes of the country. They
Yep.
really are. There's many heroes, military, first responders, but there's a large group of people who go in and day out, show up on time, and they help feed America. They help keep everything flowing smoothly. So
Yep.
props to them. Those guys deserve a lot of credit. So
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, we're 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 experiencing a weird time now because they're coming out with trucks that are going to be driving themselves. Do you see a big disruption in your industry because of that?
yeah, I do. I mean, I think to say that it wouldn't disrupt the industry is short sighted. It's going to impact the industry. I don't know exactly how. We have our projections and we have our ideas of how it's going to play out. Um, but at the end of the day, uh, what what could happen is that a lot of these drivers end up being coordinators, right? End up being freight coordinators or supply chain coordinators for these autonomous electric trucks and so on. There's going to be a lot of jobs added to the market. It's just whether the drivers and the shipping staff want to convert their expertise into that field. Um, so, that's we try to be as positive as possible about what's coming. It's easy to kind of, look at it in a negative way and what negatively could happen in the market. I think for the most part, I think that drivers will transition. They'll have to transition,
Yep.
and and it'll give them a step up, right? If you've been on the road and you've been driving 10, 20 years, you're gonna know every little in and out, and there's just right now, there's no way for a computer or a robot to know that. You're gonna
Exactly.
know every route, you're gonna know every little mechanical detail, and those people will still be needed. So
Yeah, I agree because my one client, Trevor, that me and you talked about, he's been driving truck for I don't know 20 years or so, and he knows the fastest routes to take to get from point A to point B. He knows when you get to that warehouse, what dock your truck will or won't fit into because of the length of your truck. Like he knows all of that, and you're right. People are going to be needed that have that expertise, so they can tell basically these trucks that drive themselves where to go.
yeah, and what to do and how to
Yep.
stay up to date. Roads are constantly being worked on,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of jobs that are going to be had from it. So
Yep. You know, people don't like change. We all know that. And, this to me is kind of similar to the internet. That came out and a lot of people lost their jobs, or weren't needed. But you evolve and you learn a new skill or you find a different job that uses, technology. So it's something that happens over time, all the time. And we as humans just evolve and we make it work. And usually it works out for the better, you know?
Yeah, and the American worker is very resilient. They've you know we've seen a lot in the past 2, 2, 3, 4 decades, between dot com, COVID, everything that's going on. And I think the one thing that we know for sure is that people can adapt, right? They can be motivated, and there's a lot of opportunities that can be had, and everybody's just trying to feed their families and pay their bills. So it's um it's an exciting future. We've got a lot going on, just not even in trucking, just everything that's going on with space travel and in different areas. AI. I mean, there's a lot of really neat things going on in the world.
There
So,
is. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So, how can people reach out to you and how can they work with your company?
yeah. So if you go to somersetlogistics.com, you get quotes there, or email us directly. Emails on there, just reference Josh in the email, and it'll get diverted to me. So, yeah, anybody who needs freight logistics needs, I'm here to help, and we're just a good option. Somerset's 25 years in business, veteran owned, and they're a really great company. So, which is why I chose to set up an agency through them, and we've got a lot of really good tools too. To help cut costs and make things easy. A lot of softwares that streamline the process. It's very different than the JB Hunt days whenever I worked there. So
Yep.
it's
Yep.
changed a lot. So yeah, if we're always happy to speak with anybody who needs that service. So
Awesome. All right. Before we wrap this up, I got to ask you the same question that I ask everyone. So, my slogan is Your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
that is that is honestly the 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 story that I live by. And like I said in the beginning, your abilities are infinite. Don't 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 listen to what other people say about you. Define yourself, define your destiny, choose the path that you want to go, and just understand something that you can do anything that you want within your life. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to hit roadblocks, find solutions. And I would say this one last thing that's really important for entrepreneurs. The first 3 to 5 years of my business, I tried to do everything myself, and I tried to go alone. It's a natural part of our mentalities to try to do things alone. And with a little bit of wisdom and many more years, I learned that build a good team, right? Find good referral partners, and find like-minded people that you can bounce ideas off of and solve problems. You'll be much more efficient and much faster. And I love your slogan, and I completely agree. It's You can do anything you want to do. So, and the final thing, this is one last thing that's so important to me, is that a lot of people don't understand whenever they're starting their business. If you will just do one thing and just ask for help, 99% of people will help you. If you just ask for help in a genuine way, in a genuine curiosity about a certain part of your business that you're struggling with, or an idea that you're struggling to wrap your head around, just ask for help, and and 99% of people will help you for free just to help you get ahead.
Yep.
And that was, I had so many mentors that they didn't ask anything from me. They just wanted to help me. They remembered being in that situation and they just wanted to help. So that's what I would say is just ask for help, find good people, get a hold of Nick, and start today, right?
Yep. All right. Awesome. Well, Josh, thank you for being on the show. This was really awesome. And thank you again for our last conversation. You really helped me help my clients. So I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you, Nick, and thank you so much for having me on and keep doing what you're doing and keep helping the world. So
Of
it's
course.
it's needed and appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Of course. All right, everyone. That was another awesome episode. And remember, if you need social media done for you, contact me right now because my team will be happy to take care of you. All right, guys. See you on the next one. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in it, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors. So let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.